Hello and welcome back to the Makia Daventry Court Hotel for continued live coverage of the 2019 Festival of Pool. Up next, the last 16 match in the main tour event. Karl Sutton takes on Lakesh Bahan. So it's Lakesh that's won the lag and will get us underway in frame one. Saw fairly mixed results in the last match on this table. Rob Warren was really struggling with his break. Lakesh hasn't had the best result either with the first one. It can be a frustrating game sometimes. You can do all the same things as you normally do, just no balls going. Two very good and two very experienced players here to make Karl Sutton a slight favourite, but not that much to choose between them. Slightly messy layout this for the first frame. There's a few balls in slightly awkward positions. Do basically all go, but a little bit of a cluster on the right hand side. A couple tied up on the baulk cushion. So red's the colour of choice for Karl. Because of those balls tied up at the top and on the right hand side, no need for Karl to go for clearance there, so he's opting for the containing shot. Not really the way either of them would want to start. In an ideal world, you get on the table and pot some balls to start with and relax yourself into the match. Sometimes these kind of scrappy games can knock you out of your rhythm a bit before you've really got started. Hasn't quite got that shot right. By leaving that yellow short of the pocket, he's created an opportunity for Karl to cover this pocket as well, if he wants to. Happy that he doesn't need to. He'll be keen to move the red on the baulk cushion, so that's one reason to at least go as far as hitting that one. Well, you can see from his reaction he was playing to pot that. It's not the worst outcome to leave. My mistake, I hadn't realised that he had two visits. In that case, he would certainly have been wanting to pot that. I thought on his last shot, Lakesh had just played a slightly careless safety shot, but he'd obviously clipped the red on the way through, and it was actually a foul. Red's still very much in control, but I think Karl will be disappointed not to have cleared up in that opportunity. Still not the most appealing position for Lakesh here. Nothing Karl can do really but just try and properly cover this bottom right hand corner pocket. Got to be so delicate with shots where you're rolling a ball towards the pocket. On that occasion it was fine because it was quite thin, there was no danger of potting it by mistake, but these tour tables are so fast. A shot that would cover a pocket in a club, you can very easily find you've potted the ball. Another good shot from Lakesh. He's not in a great position in this frame, but he's played a couple of good containing shots the last couple of visits to the table. Unfortunately, he's going to have to get back to it, though. Karl's opened up both of the two that he'd got safe. Now it depends the situation this bottom right. I think both balls will probably pot from there. Depends how cleanly. If Karl could get the red in behind the yellow, he would have done that, but the position he's in, there's no real downside to giving away two visits. Lakesh would need a lot more than two visits to clear up from this position. The two yellows together bottom left are going to be pretty tricky to get out from that. Well, I don't think he's got this right. That shot was all right, but he couldn't afford to leave a foul snooker. Karl can't see both sides of either of these reds, so it's a foul snooker and a free ball. Oh, he's played that really well. He'd held himself together well in that frame. Lakesh had stuck in there, but a very careless shot there to leave that foul snooker. If you're going to play that kind of deliberate foul, you've got to be absolutely sure you leave your opponent a shot at one of their balls. So Karl Sutton will be relieved to get that frame over and done with a bit quicker than he might have expected. He always looked like he was in good control there, but ultimately handed to him on a plate. He now leads by 1-0. So first look at Karl's break. Two balls potted. Unfortunately for him, one of them was the white. This is a great opportunity for Lakesh to make amends for that last frame. Cue ball in hand, and the ball's spread pretty well. Not a complete formality on either colour, but certainly a chance to get well into the frame. That's a really good shot. You can see he was playing a very precise shot there. There was a lot of much easier pots available to him, but deliberately set the cue ball up in such a way that he could pot a red and a yellow. He was always going to want to be reds, but it was important to move that yellow that was over the middle pocket because it was getting in the way. Still a bit to do though. Those two reds near the middle pocket aren't exactly a plant, so you're going to need to nudge into them or drop behind them. That's always going to be a pretty difficult way of doing it. It's very hard to check the cue ball up as much. He was playing with a lot of left-hand side to try and narrow the angle of the cue ball. When you do that, you take the pace out of the ball. Yeah, this looks pretty good. He's got an angle to pop this ball into the corner and cannon into the other one. He's just got to judge the cannon right. Tried to play it as a controlled shot, didn't smash into it too hard, which is probably the right option, but it's not quite finished up where he wanted it. Knows the importance of this position. The trouble is when you pot a few balls and then miss, you can leave yourself in a lot of trouble. It's all about what he does with the two yellows to the right of the black. The other three balls, of course, would be easy enough to pot, but don't think those yellows quite go. It's just looking at whether you could clip the yellow in if you were low on it. Look terribly happy with this shot. Well, good double. Had to sacrifice position slightly in playing that shot, but it was an important pot to get that. The pot was certainly the main part of that shot. He didn't want to be trying anything too ambitious positionally. So now I'm going to have to pull out another decent pot to keep the clearance going. He struck that really well. Made that look a pretty easy shot, but it's quite easy to mess those ones up, and particularly easy to lose control of the white while you're playing them. If you can see the yellow to the right of the black, that would be ideal, because he'll have a good angle to come round for the other one. If he can't quite see enough of it, he's going to have to go up the table first. Still fine, but a little bit more movement's going to be required with the white. So, nicely on the yellow to the right of the black. Just needs to play this slowly with drag and right hand side to hold the cue ball. Again, made that look very easy. The pot was easy enough, but the position was quite a delicate one. Lakesh was in first and had what looked an okay opportunity, but wasn't quite easy enough and just slipped out of position. That's the result. Second frame on the board for Karl Sutton, who now leads by 2-0. A reminder of our schedule for the rest of the day. You're currently watching the last 16 tour match up at 1:30 Men's Premier League, and then we resume coverage of this main tour event. Quarterfinals at 4 o'clock, then we'll be showing both semi-finals, the first at 6 o'clock, the next one's at 8 o'clock, and then the final currently scheduled for around 10 p.m. tonight. Those schedules may of course change slightly depending on whether any of the matches overrun, but that's the plan at the moment. Oh, how tantalising is that? That red just hanging on the lip of the middle pocket. It looked for all the world like it was going to drop. Lakesh at the moment just not quite able to catch a break, literally or metaphorically. A few things to think about, which is why he's taking his time. He's obviously going to go with reds, but it's the question of how he deals with the two reds on the right-hand side. Just trying to catch that red slightly thinner than the ideal potting angle in order to can into the two reds on the other side of the table. That's why he's just pushed it slightly wide as a result. Not for the first time in this match, Lakesh coming to the table with a less than optimal position. Well, it was a less than optimal position and his options were a bit limited, but that certainly wasn't the option he was looking for. Three reds over the pocket, one in an open position at the bottom. It's all just about how you knock into the two that are on the right-hand side. Doesn't have to try and do anything too ambitious here. He could just pot the loose balls and use the spare visit at some stage in the clearance to disturb those two reds. Although ideally it's always nice to keep a shot in hand, so you suspect you might look for an angle to get into them before that. He catch himself slightly in two minds as to the best way to go about it, but has taken what seems a logical enough option. Needs a ball to hit the cushion, which it only just did there. It's not absolutely perfect, this. So these two balls are always going to be fine. It's just a case of dropping nicely on the two that are on the bottom cushion. That was always the problem. He needed to be pretty straight. They were too far away to play as a plant and to be sure of potting them, so he was trying to screw over to the right-hand side of the table. Just got into the cue ball a bit too much. Was hoping to end up pretty much straight on the red that's in the middle of the cushion. He's left himself in a bit of bother here. Well, how's that for a way to get out of trouble? Played that nonchalantly like it was just over the pocket, but that was by no means a straightforward shot. So the Lakesh in-off has proved costly, as we always suspected it would, although Karl had to work for those balls in the end. Good clearance to secure his third frame of the match. He now leads by 3 frames to 0. If you're just joining us, you're watching live coverage of the last 16 of Tour 2 of the EPA Pool Tour. Commentary from this one from me, Mark Shepherd. Be with you all day with live coverage of this and a couple of other events that we're running in parallel, as it always is for the Easter weekend. This is the Festival of Pool, so we've got Number of different things happening. Main tour event, men's and ladies Premier Leagues, challenge event, and also World Championship qualifiers of the World Championships, which kick off in a couple of months' time up in Blackpool. This man at the table knows all about the World Championships, of course. Won multiple team titles with England, has reached the singles final himself. Lakesh is also a veteran of a number of World Championship team events. We're looking fairly one-sided so far this match, although in Lakesh's defence he just hasn't really had a very straightforward opportunity to get going with. He's made a couple of fairly elementary mistakes that have actually gifted the last two frames away, but they were made in circumstances where he didn't really have a lot going on and was always chasing the game slightly. And as all players do when they're playing well, Karl making this look fairly easy at the moment. Got a very natural style. It really looks like he's having to work very hard with the cue ball. Just cues very smoothly through it. Very good potter, and always seems to have very good control of the white as well. So, no time at all. Another frame on the board for Karl Sutton, that time a clearance from his own break. Karl Sutton 4, Lakesh Bahan 0. Desperately needs to make something happen here, Lakesh. Hasn't done too much wrong so far, but he has had a couple of chances that on another day he might have expected to take. He's done the important thing there, though, with the ball potted off the break, so at least he's got first go at these. Red ball that's potted, although see, there is a red tied up just above the black, so that's going to be the complicating factor in this clearance. Needs to give this some thought. If he can't find some way of getting that red out that's tied up at the top of the table, he shouldn't be going for these. What he doesn't want to do is pot a few balls and then find he gets stuck with that one at the end. It's in prime position for these top three reds. At the moment it's looking like his only option is going to be to drop behind the red play at last, so he'd have to pot these two at the top of the table and then screw down the left hand side of the table, try and leave that red as straight as possible to the bottom right as his last shot. Well, it's decided for a different option. That was never going to be straightforward, though. alluded to a couple of shots ago, it's basically exactly the thing you never want to do in a frame of pool. Open up the table for your opponent and then hand it over, and in fact on this occasion not only has he done that, but he's handed it over with the benefit of 2 visits as well. Right now this match feels like it's all about Karl Sutton getting a lot more table time than his opponent. He's looking a lot more assured in the balls than his opponent. So he just wants to cannon the red off this shot. Just caught it a bit thinner than he'd intended. It was never going to be that easy to judge that shot and be certain of knocking the red out the way. Still got the luxury of the extra visit in hand though, so no great drama at the moment. The natural angle off this ball to drift along the line of the baulk line over to the left hand side. It's actually a pretty bad miss because he's now blocked the path for the other ball, I think. So, small lifeline for Lakesh. Kind of expected to come back to the table, I don't think, after giving away the 2 shots from that position. That's not bad. Not easy by any means, but at least he's got a shot at this red. Oh, he's hit that very wide there. Didn't really get close to that pot. Wasn't an easy pot, make no mistake, but he'd be disappointed not to have got a bit closer. Hard to imagine any mistakes this time from Karl. You'd have to say, even though we've not been playing for that long, this match is slipping away from Lakesh pretty fast. No frames of the board yet, and not really looking like getting one on the board. His opponent's been pretty ruthless given the opportunity. He's given him too many opportunities so far. So after only about half an hour of play, it's Karl Sutton 5, Lakesh Bahan still to get off the mark. Karl Sutton then to break in frame 6. White straight into the middle pocket. He'll be annoyed with that. Anytime you just screw the ball straight into the middle pocket, you feel like it's your mistake. If it gets kicked in by something else, then sure, it's bad luck. That's not what he wanted. This is probably the most straightforward opportunity Lakesh has had so far, although I suspect at the moment nothing's looking that straightforward when he's 5-0 down. Even that shot with ball in hand, he's not really left himself in prime position. He's run a bit too far to just drop this red in the middle and hold position. May have to screw the ball in now. This is the trouble, you slip slightly out of position on one shot and it just gets harder and harder. Now he's facing a simple pot, but complicated significantly by the cueing over that ball. Still, all credit, he's held himself together. As it happened, he had a good angle just to knock the black into an even more open position, so now relatively simple stuff to be done to complete the frame. That's careless though, he did not want to be hitting that ball. Not really sure why he was trying to screw that way at all. It felt like he'd have been better just going off the left hand side cushion round that yellow. He didn't really need to get anywhere near it. Well, that's a remarkable shot. That is, from that position, to get enough spin on the cue ball to get round the angles and down for this. Had to trust to luck a little bit with that cannon on the red. That could have gone wrong, but he hit that so well to get anywhere near this position. Really needs to make sure of this. Not going to get any better opportunities than this to get his first frame on the board. So, in off the break from Karl Sutton. Good clearance in the end from Lakesh. Gets one back, it's now 5 frames to 1. Currently watching the last 16 of the main tour event. Coming up after this, 1:30, we've got a men's Premier League match. And then we'll be providing coverage all the way through to the final of the tour. Quarter-final at 4 o'clock, semi-finals at 6 and 8 o'clock, and then the tour final scheduled at 10 o'clock tonight. That's more like it from Lakesh's point of view. Big powerful breaks, these 2 red balls down. Well, I think we'll charitably say he hasn't taken full advantage of that situation. Best of 13 this match, so Karl currently 2 away from victory. Certainly looking the better of the players so far. Karl is by far the more composed. Lakesh looked good in that last frame. It's the first time he'd had a really clear-cut opportunity. Slightly unwanted cannon there. He's looking to screw past that red. Rather messed his position up by running so full into it. How's that for a recovery shot there? This is what the best players in the world do to you. You're sitting there in your chair, you're thinking, I'm going to have another chance here. He slipped out of position. Right back in prime position now, though. That was a better shot than it looked. You saw how close he got to the red on the bottom cushion. If he'd have clipped that, he wouldn't have had any kind of position on this yellow. Played it with a lot of side just to avoid that and to straighten the ball up as it went down the table. So one more good positional shot here, around the two cushions for the black. Just slightly overdone that. The pass itself should be fine, but he's just looking at where the cue ball's going. Lex for the double again, for the second time in that frame. Good double knocked into the middle of the pocket. So looking good value for the lead so far. Karl Sutton leads Lakesh Bahan by 6 frames to 1. Karl Sutton breaking off in frame number 7, and he's done exactly in frame number 8. I apologise. He's done exactly the same thing as he did 2 frames ago when he last broke. White smashed straight into the middle pocket. So another opportunity thrown to Lakesh. All but one of his balls is in the open. It's just the one frozen to a red that he's going to have to deal with. I think that ball pots it's tied to the red, although maybe it does from the way he's looking at this. He does feel like it pots from this position. Yeah, in fact, when you see it like that, different camera angles can be deceptive. From above it looked like that was pretty tight, but in the end it went pretty easily. He's shaking his head there because the yellow that he's nearest, I don't think passes the other one. I think he was trying to get on the outside one. And in the end, he's had to chase a fairly difficult plant. That was a slightly careless way of slipping out of position. There were some problems with that clearance, but that wasn't really one of them. Just needed to come a couple of inches further off the cushion. This is the problem when you're playing a player of Karl Sutton's calibre. You just know that any small mistake is going to get punished. And ironically, that just makes it slightly more likely that you will make a mistake. It just adds that bit of extra pressure to the situation. The reason Karl's looking a bit annoyed with himself is he just hasn't quite covered that pocket completely, which means that the black will still pot into it. Which we'll find out in a few shots' time whether that's going to be an issue or not. Cannon's just not quite turned out right, so Lakesh just figuring out how to go about these. It's the yellow that's currently nearest below the cue ball that's the problem. Obviously nothing he can do with that from here though. He's judged that pretty well. Using that red in the middle of the table to slow the white down has left him himself pretty much the perfect angle on this yellow. Well, I say pretty much the perfect angle. Maybe it was a bit straighter than he wanted. I thought he'd be able to get the cue ball a bit further over than that. He's now got himself into a whole load of trouble. Because Karl's got so many balls left on the table, it's going to be really hard not to leave him a shot at one of these if he comes back. Well, Lakesh knows that it's all over with 2 shots from that position, decides not even to take the time to make Karl clear up. Disappointing end to the match. There were moments of promise from Lakesh, but ultimately never really got into it. His opponent did what he needed to and played some pretty solid stuff. Karl Sutton wins by 7 frames to 1. We'll be back with more coverage of the latest Premier League at 1:30. Thanks for your company with this one.